ecosystem is that in Great Britain, when we celebrate Bonfire Night, one of Dundee's celebrations is here in Baxters Park, and as you can see, this is where the bonfire was set. This can have a large impact on the ecosystem here because this can disturb all the habitats of the insects and the worms and things in the ground, which can then go on to impact the birds and then the foxes. There's actually quite a significant amount of fireworks debris left over in this park. This is a little ex-bowling green, it's not been used for a long time, but if I just pan the camera around, all the things that you can see on the ground, that's actually leftover fire debris, except from this thing over here, which I'm just pointing to. That's someone set fire to a wheelie bin over there. So that could have damaged the ecosystems and killed some organisms. Under here of insects, so we'll just remove this brick and have a look if there's anything. There's some wood lice. It's quite hard to focus at the moment, but there's some wood lice. There you go, you can see it moving on the bottom of this brick. So living in the dark and the damp. Put that back where we found it. We'll have a look and see if there's anything else. There doesn't seem to be anything under that one. This one. Again, there doesn't seem to be anything on that one. And also, it's really important that once you're finished looking at under any rocks or things, just put them back in the same place that you found them. There's actually quite a lot of wood lice on this one here. You can see them all moving around. Put that down before they crawl up my sleeve. One of the interesting things that humans have done to help preserve the habitats for animals and insects around the park are install fire-proof benches for barbecues so that the ground doesn't have to be destroyed. So that's quite a positive thing that humans have done to help the environment and habitats. So basically at Baxters Park, we found out that the ecosystems there more or less began with the leaves and the dead things that are on the floor, which created sort of nutrients for the trees to be able to grow, which provided food for plants and also animals, so insects and things, which then the birds then ate. We didn't see any other wildlife, it was mainly just birds, but it could, well, more than is likely that there are sort of squirrels and rats and mice and things in that environment. So there's probably little insects and things that we just didn't manage to see, and also maybe bats and things like that. So the ecosystem really does depend on the cohabitation basically of all the different sort of animals and insects and birds and plants and things that all live in the one area. They all manage to get their energy from the sun, and the food chain kind of uses that energy from the sun to basically create all the living animals that they have there. So the insects get their food from the plants, and then the birds and things get their food from the insects. So that's what we found out from Baxters Park. In terms of this TDT, where we had to visit two contrasting local ecosystems, we managed to go to Baxters Park and Swanee Ponds, and we managed to look at the differences that were there, and the differences were you were able to see them. So the pond, you were really looking at the algae and things like that, but there are similarities too, because at the park the insects and the birds really depend on the plants making energy from the sun as well. So really there's not too much of a difference. So we decided to link this to the experience and outcome of I can explore examples of food chains and show an appreciation of how animals and plants depend on each other for food. And the four things that we've decided to really look at for this were factors that affected plant growth, impact of human population on the environment, examples of food chain, and how animals and plants depend on each other for food. We also did investigate the factors affecting plant growth and develop the understanding of a positive and negative human impact. So I think through going to Baxters Park and comparing it to Swanee Ponds, you really get to see how they're two different ecosystems and how they both run differently, but you can also see how they're the same and how they need the sun, they need the producers, and then they need the different levels of the food chain to be able to survive.